California cities are some of the most polluted cities in the world. Over 90% of Californians breathe unhealthy air pollutants such as carbon monoxide, lead, or sulfate throughout everyday life. There is a lack of action that has inevitably worsened California's air quality, with more than half of California counties experiencing the worst air pollution since the year 1998. California cities need to undergo a transformation in sustainability and adapt to the changes in our natural environment. As the article Moving Beyond Gas puts it, the transition away from natural gas is vital, not just for environmental well-being, but also human health. The risks posed by the pollution from burning gas are substantial and largely unknown to the public. With the amount of action that occurs within the state, there are constant environmental pressures that cause many issues for its inhabitants if gone untreated. All of these problems combined makes the building of more ecologically sustainable cities even more necessary. The goal of creating a sustainable city are ecological-minded technologies, clean funding, and different mindsets. Before understanding the different factors of making a city self-reliant, one must understand and judge logical and practical elements such as a city's funding. And when designing and building more sustainable California cities, there are numerous stakeholders involved that have a vested interest in the decision-making and activities of such a significant initiative. Especially when discussing sustainability, having stakeholders and partners engaging with the material is critical for local governments to successfully and efficiently implement adaptation projects. Local governments may achieve community buy-in by increasing public understanding of the variety of climate change impacts and risks, the need for reliance building strategies, and the uncertainties associated with climate impacts, as well as possible solutions. Furthermore, attempting to integrate voices from all different groups, such as the citizens who come from different backgrounds, businesses who need to know their money is being invested into the right place, and political individuals who want to make their own changes to a city. Although it is extremely difficult to have everyone happy with the final product of such a major scale such as a city, it embraces the sense of community any establishment needs to have in order to be successful. On the topic of success and fortune, money is a very important thing in the progression of a city's sustainability plans. When building, there needs to be the materials to build it, and when building a city, you need a lot of substance. Without funding from stakeholders, there can be a lack of resources, therefore making a project of this size unfeasible. This funding is usually covered by either the government, businesses, or donors who believe in the project that they invest in. Getting money from these groups is difficult since there are other massive projects going on currently, but there is a lot of precedent in creating an ecological-minded city for the world's benefit. Either way, these shareholders are a vital part in the funding of a city like the sustainable ones California should have. Another issue that should be considered is the technologies that are used to build up the city. The main point of sustainability is its technologies that make it up. Some examples of sustainable building methods are environmental and sustainable design and construction, incorporating the latest eco-friendly methods and technologies, architectural design, and the utilization of raw and natural materials to blur lines between indoor and outdoor living, and maximizing the use of natural light through solar tubes, solar array, windows, and skylights. Building more sustainable cities can be approached by constructing new, highly efficient buildings or improving existing structures. On the other hand, it is not necessary to develop completely new technology. For example, implementing green roofs or installing more solar panels are good ways for cities to be more sustainable without spending a fortune on research and
designing new technology. Another important factor in pollution buildup, solved with better integrated and green technology, is fixing the fossil fuels that are emitted during transportation. Mobility is a massive part of life of a city. There is no production unless there is a way to get around, such as cars, bicycles, or public transit like buses, subways, or boats. But to be able to create a new sustainable mode of transportation, there needs to be a way to develop both the infrastructure rather than just the vehicles themselves. As Liao Urban states, a city's urban accessibility and livability can thus be further built up with such considerations. With new technologies like electric cars that have zero emissions becoming more commonplace, there is a need for charging stations around the city. With this new thought process of what technologies you may need to be sustainable and what you need to make your sustainability sustainable is how the state of California should think about creating more ecologically friendly cities.
But the most important change in all of this taking place is a new mindset. The people who make up this new city, and in turn, the entire world, need to be willing to work for the earth to be sustainable. It's not going to fix itself on its own because all of the irreparable damage the earth faces is from humans and their dangerous habits. Some ways we can help as individuals are quick services and volunteer work. We can throw away our trash or participate in cleanups to help conserve the environment. Volunteering is the most direct way singular people can positively affect the ecosystem. Other ways in protecting the planet include changing your diet or your spending habits. An average American creates 16 tons of carbon dioxide every year, and it will not be quelled unless people make the effort to change their ways. The goals include having environmental sustainability as a supportive element of being affordable, inclusive, and equitable. This can be done by integrating sustainability within policies and projects throughout the city. New diets that don't include as much meat allows for less factories to emit carbon and methane into the atmosphere to adhere to the demand. Even more importantly, people with government power are the most vital part in turning California's sustainable cities into a reality. The state of California, which consumes tons of energy on a daily basis, must prioritize the transition away from natural gases and other fossil fuels to electricity. Cities can implement various strategies to encourage the electrification of buildings, including incentives for developers, infrastructure investment, public awareness, and policy development. Making these ecological changes heavily affect the amount of carbon emissions exhausted and makes the environment much cleaner. When all is said and done, there is a big ethical line that needs to be crossed. How does this city get made, and would that create more problems than what it's solving? The issue ties into some of the ideas in Laudato Si, which Pope Francis wrote. With the creation of self-sustainable cities, it allows for the newer generation to prosper, which is the goal in making these communities. As Pope Francis writes, we can no longer speak of sustainable development apart from intergenerational solidarity. Once we start to think about the kind of world we are leaving to the future generations, we look at things differently. This quote imposes a challenge for future generations to continue with this path of trying to decrease the risk of wildfires, lower threats for coastal development, and increase California's water supply, which would be achieved through the new self-sustainable cities being made. Sustainable cities such as the one we are proposing are not only important for us here on Earth now, but for the future generations that will have to live here as well. It would be selfish to take all the world's resources and burn it to the ground such as we're doing now. The sustainability of California and the entire world makes not only Earth a better place today, but for everyone else who stands on the same ground where we stand in the far future.